man of letters. If anyone wants to feel nice enough to provide his link, we greatly appreciate it. But I'm not staying on this platform. I'm going on his channel. We are live. I am live on this channel. We're going live on this channel.
What up?
Talk about lemuria and mu and all those other constructs. So once again, I'm just going to make sure y'all get it. I'm not staying on this channel. I'm going on my boy's channel, Man of Letters. Of course, I'll upload the video later for those that can't catch it live right now. But I want y'all to check me out on Man of Letters. Let's go. Come on, give it. What is it? Let's say, what's the page? Let's go. They see you.
What up, y'all? Hey, come over, Man of Letters. Can't miss it.
Let's get it. All right. See y'all soon.
What up, everybody? Elizabeth, nice to see you. Ashley, Audie Cole, Mojo Brown, Third Eye, Black Gold. You guys all know the infamous Cue Reaves. Everybody say what up. Q, everyone say thank you.
What up, what up, what up, what up? Thank you for having me back. You infamous too, bro. I'm here on your channel for the second time. The vibe be right. The vibe be right.
Happy for it. I was like, damn, should I burn one down again? I was like, it's still not even 10 o'clock over here yet. I can't. Damn. Damn, I might have to then. I might have to get my girl to bring me my little pisola.
Yeah, because I want to talk about a couple of different things today. I think it's going to be important for us to get context. I want us to be able to understand why I make statements like I personally believe all bodies are female. Bodies, the physical body, female. Why would I make that statement?
There's truth in
that. Why we know that all the angels have taken on masculine names, but the original or origin of those names were of feminine origin. So when did this transition of sexes happen? Like you got to understand, we're in the society now based on what happened before us. So we got to start asking those questions. I started to realize the association with the Orishas, more specifically a being known as Yemenya or Yamaya and Oshun, these twin-like energies, and then realizing that a twin isn't just what you would perceive to be like a sister or brother, but that your twin is actually not just your sister that is reflecting you if you were born at the same time, but your child. In this case, mother-daughter. So the mother and the daughter are in essence twins or extensions or reflections of each other, because a twin is nothing more than a reflection. So then I said, oh, okay, so Oya kind of becomes the reflection of both those beings. And this plays a huge role because I was communicating with these energies earlier because I really wanted to understand how we started to usher in what we would call the brotherhood of white light or white magic or magic, and then dark magic, which would be the brotherhood of fraternal orders. Those are people who kind of deal with dark magic, but those fraternal orders aren't like your Masons and things like that. Those fraternal orders would be more like your queen, incest. They deal with genetics. They deal with blood. They deal with dark essence. But I'm gonna get into all that.
Yeah, so, context is good, man. Context is my favorite.
in order for us to know the magic that we're dealing with now, we got to know or have a foundation or frame. I had a regression yesterday with one of my clients, and I was explaining that she is the embodiment of Nut. And I said, you have to understand what Nut is. And I'm not just talking about sperm. I'm talking about Nut like the goddess Nut. I said the goddess Nut is your frame. The goddess Nut is your foundation. The goddess Nut is your formation. And then it's interesting because you get a race of beings known as Polearians that were kind of obsessed with form. Their first four letters is form. Polearians, form. Beings that were obsessed with formation. So we're going to get into context today. You're going to understand why you get a word like Fantasia And then you get a word that is an extension of that word, Anastasia. I'm gonna get into that. I'm gonna get into Pan Gaia. I'm definitely going to bring or read certain excerpts from my book that I'm writing about the Lemurian culture. But we just going to get into this framework. That's where we at. That's where we at. So I'm just making sure everybody ready.
I'm ready. You guys ready? What's up? Also, let me, before you start, just for anyone who's checking in after, I'm gonna let you guys know this is Cue Reaves. You guys can check out his YouTube channel. He goes live a lot. I appreciate the people that go live a lot because it's like you're shooting from the hip, you know, it's nothing too premeditated, you know what I'm saying? It's
nah, I don't have one pre-recorded video on my channel.
So yeah, everyone say thank you for Q coming on, sharing his time with us. All right, brother.
All right, so what we're going to get into is the start of what we would call the 7 root races. Now, the 7 root races is a blueprint. And it is a blueprint that is following the science of 7. Now, interesting enough, if you pay attention to the Bible and then expand your mind and realize that your chakras could be an embodiment of the same science of 7. They tell you have 7 chakras. Now, of course, they might advocate you have more and things like that. Fuck chakras. Think of it as 7 vital organs or muscles in your body that is helping in producing you. Now, your heart is a muscle, your brain is a muscle, the cords that's giving you communication is a muscle, your liver, your kidney, these are forms of, in essence, a muscle. Now, they have different terms that they use for them. But at the end of the day, it expands and contrasts, right? Fuck the title. You know, I don't want to get lost in titles. I want us to get down to the root of things. If something is in your body expanding and contrasting like a muscle, fat don't do that.
I see.
Anyway, so the 7 root races associate to the 7 chakras. God created the world in 7 days, but rested on the 7th, right? That's what they tell us. So I was thinking about that, and I was like, well, can I relate that to like my body? Is there anything that kind of represents that? And I was looking at the chakra chart, and I realized that you have 6 chakras dwelling within you, and then they keep a 7th chakra separated from you. It's kind of like it's at rest. It's like sleeping. I was like, damn, so like that could be what it's talking about. God rested on his 7th day. In the crown you rest.
The crown rests on the head.
So I said, all right, well, in order for me to know how we got up, you must first know what it was like to be down.
Yes.
Now I'm talking about a phallus when I say this. This is real shit. The beginning of this conversation is going to be phallus talk, because this is very important for us to understand something. In order for you to understand how you get up, you must first understand your down. Now, as a child, you do not get an erection. So in your child or in your innocence or in your imagination or in your fantasia, there aren't erections. Kids ain't busting nuts 1 through 7. Now, I say this for a reason. This is very important because it has to do with transitioning the son to a man. That's the story of Horus. All right, so I'm talking about a pole. I'm talking about a phallus. Why am I talking about a pole? Why am I talking about a phallus? Well, the original root race, and of course, this has been theorized. Helen Plavakia, whatever the fuck her name is, one of them Vrel beings. They're all associated to the Vrel Society, but she proposed that there are 7 root races. Now, it's interesting enough that the 6th root race, which is what we evolving to become, is called the Nova being, or the Nova species, the Nova man. We are considered like the Aryan man right now. But what transitions after the Aryan man is considered a nova man, a star, a gas. And it's interesting because what do stars do?
They burn.
Therefore, they shine, right?
They shine.
All right.
All right.
Now, your thoughts are the same exact construct, that shine, that illumination,
Mm-hmm.
right? So when we become our sixth man, we then now become a master of our star or thoughts.
Uh-huh.
We are currently the fifth man, Aryan. You need air to motherfucking speak, nigga. Aryan. Beings that are based on communication. But I'm telling you, the root races is associated to your chakras because it's explaining your rise through your body.
Uh-huh.
First root race is known as Polarian. It comes from or is named after a star system known as Polaris. Another name for Polaris is known as the North Star. So when they tell you, if you ever get lost, look to the North Star and they'll help guide you home. This is what we used to talk. This is ancient mapping star systems. Look to the North Star.
North Star doesn't move.
Correct. Look to the North Star for guidance. Now, what does this have to do with? This has to do with a lot of different things. I can't go into the mythology of Polaris. If you want to look up Ulcer Minor and the Greek mythology behind that. It's also known as Little Bear. So any of y'all that used to watch Nickelodeon and remember a TV show called Little Bear, there's a lot of messages in that story.
One of my favorites. Little Bear is one of my favorites.
And it has to do with once this energy comes out of hibernation or sleep, because remember, the crown rests, that all the old systems will, you ever seen a bear go up against a lion?
No. Oh, actually, they have it on those old medieval crests. That was who is it? Who has that? There's a bear versus a lion on their crest. They're fighting. I haven't. What is that? I'm sure there's some kind of corresponding element there.
Mm-hmm. Can't get into all that. Because when I say these things, it's because I don't even have like the words yet. Like I have the idea, but I haven't exercised it in my everyday life yet to advocate it. So
I feel you. Yeah.
I'm going to talk about what I have the ability to find the words so that it's clear enough. Because I don't like people like, what was said? I don't get it. Like, All right. So the first dimension of you was known as a Polarian. These beings is considered the first root race. These beings would be like this joint. I had to break down a combination of bud. Now imagine if I grabbed 30 strains and I took a little bit from each one and then rolled it up into a singularity. This is what those beings represented. Now, those beings are often referred to in ancient times as like griffins. They would be hybrid beings or creatures, head of a lion, horns of an elk, ass of a moose, tail of a snake, like
beak of the ibis. Beak of the ibis.
Yeah, yes. These would be considered singularity beings. Now, these are just if you wanted to allow your imagination to perceive what a species like this would look like. Dog, the trees is that. It's a combination of various things combined on one singular pole. You got
Yeah.
animals living in that motherfucker, birds on it, leaves growing from it, trees, branches extended from it. Yet it's coming from the base or the trunk, a phallus, a pole. That would be, that's why I believe first dimensional beings are trees, one of them. And trees used to move and walk around. And they will be considered Polearians. Trees.
All right. Yeah.
You also get certain things that would be like, I saw a creature, it was all eyes. It was just made out of all eyes. That's a Polarian. I seen a creature, it was made up of just all hands, just hands everywhere. I didn't see no face, no. That's a Polarian. It's a combination of various spirits attached to one pole. Now, Q, what you mean, dog? Various spirits attached to one pole. You have chakras. These chakras are entry ports or points or incubators of spirits. And then the spirits eventually converge into one singularity. You call that a phallus. You call that a pole. You call that an obulus. And it is because it is the convergence of all this shit going on in your father. All right? Being ruled by something known as fantasy or Fantasia. Because boy, oh boy, do men operate in a realm or in a frequency of the feminine. We often consider ourselves her savior, and we create a fantasy, a story, a role, an act from her thought. But I'm gonna get in that in a second too. So I want people to understand that all names are titles. So if I'm saying that a Polarian is not only just a species, it's also a title. It is the first state of you when you shot out of your pole, when you came out of your father. You were considered a Polarian. Now, before you being a Polarian, you were considered a being that dwelled within the ethers or the 0 point, meaning that you kind of converged or connected your energy throughout the whole body if you were worthy, because that is a whole nother concept. All right, here we go. So when you are inside of a body, do you think it's no different than being outside of a body? And I say that you're born into this world and you have to make a name for yourself. Do you not? Okay. So if you're born into this world and you got to make a name for yourself, you don't think when you animate within the world of your father, you don't have to make a name for yourself?
Well, we have to be something to define there has to be something that defines us from the rest of the world. So we have to fucking make a name. We have to make something for ourselves that distinguishes us from the rest.
And in order for that to happen, can you stand still or do you be in motion?
By fucking default, you have to be in motion. You gotta.
All right. So you can't stay in one spot in the body.
Nah.
So what is this journey? Well, you started up here. You started as a thought. And then you made your way down the body. And you made sure that you was the superstar in that body. That's how you were the one chosen to get shot out and picked up. Clearly, you were shining brighter than the rest.
Yeah.
You don't think darkness attracts light?
Oh, for sure. They need each other. But even that thought, that reminds you of water. When you vibrate water fast enough, it turns into steam. That's exactly how steam works.
Well, we're only dealing with water or ether. And then once you deal with ether, you deal with the 3 constructs of ether: liquid, solid, or gas, water. And these different states is based on how they're put in motion.
Exactly.
We following? Let's ask. Let's make sure everyone gets out. I don't want to make sure it's going over anyone's head. I'll repeat it. I'll say it another way.
144 people watching. Damn, there is 144 people watching. That's funny.
We in here. So if I'm telling you the first purpose of you was to converge all of you, because here's another thing. As you travel, do you not pick things up?
You have a tendency to, yeah. I mean, you could put things down as well, but you
Oh
usually
yeah,
pick,
things can
you
get
pick up.
forgotten. Oh yeah, things can get forgotten. And then you want to ask, why are you a forgotten one? Why doesn't he love me? Why did he pick me up and put me down? Why did she pick me up and put me down? I'm telling you that you're experiencing the exact same thing you did inside of the body that you're now experiencing outside of the body. You should have fucking asked more questions on who you came out of. But they don't want us to learn our parents, nor do they want us to even have good relationships with our parents. So we only remember the trauma and not the good things. It's fucking crazy. It's like
such is human life.
so. This has to do with the convergence into a pole, an obelisk, into a star, into a specific star in a certain direction, the North Star. I said that you start, listen. I said the race of beings are known as Polearians. They call themselves Polearians because the origin of them is the North Star. And they are acknowledging where they come from. So you usually name yourself on what you come from. My name is Reaves because my dad is a Reaves.
Yeah.
That's what I come from. So you're naming yourself a Polarian based on where you came from. Polaris, the North Star. People want to ask an origin story. Well, you first need to learn more about Polaris and the North Star. And you can get a better understanding on the matriculation of you. But that story that they articulate or write about is just a metaphor for what really happened within you. And no one can really tell you your story. They can reflect your story. They can take a piece of your story and claim that it's theirs. I mean, they can do that, but no one can really tell you your story. You know why no one can tell you your story? Because the only person that knows your story is who? Now, who is a deity or a being is associated with an owl.
I can't remember any.
Oh man, there's a just when we get some time, because I don't want to throw off track. Just type in goddess connected to owls. Now, I know several, but there's an owl in California called Bohemian Grove, Bohemia, or
That's a goddess or a place? I know Bohemian Grove as
that's
in
a
that.
place, but it's honoring monarch or Malak. And Malak, my lock.
You know what's happening with Malak at the moment? Verizon has their own conference. This is their third annual conference this year, and it's the Conference of Malak. That's the name of the conference.
It's Molly. And remember Molly Pocket? You know, used to keep the bitch in your pocket. It's Molly.
I do remember that.
It's Polly Pocket, but there was a friend named Molly. I just wanted you to know. They can't put it too evident, but she had friends, Polly and Molly. Anyway, let me just keep on. So in that, as a Polarian, you originally dwelled in Fantasia. Fantasia is fantasy. So because you don't have any memories, all right, so no memories mean you aren't stuck or glued to another individual's experiences. There are no memories inside of the body because you're operating in more of an instinctual system. Think of it like animals. They would claim animals don't really use memories per se, but more senses. They can sense when to leave. They can sense when the crops are good, the weather's bad. They don't say, oh, it's April time, it's about to rain, it's bad. Yeah, let's go up in the motherfucking trees. That's a memory thing. So in the body, you are more instinctual and it's more based on a drive. So I don't want to throw y'all off because this has to do with adrenaline. And adrenaline has to do with the charge. And there's a feminine energy that has to do with the lithium or the charge of you. And it is said that when this female realized that she could no longer dominate what we call dark essence, and I'm gonna get into that in a second, that she realized that she had to embed herself into white essence, which is sperm. And the thing that is driving sperm is adrenaline. Now, there could be different names or words for it. Listen, this is not about names. There's a charge inside of the sperm. What drew that sperm out? You know, I remember what drew that sperm out when I was a high school kid. It was, you know, a process. You know, I even remember trying to walk up to a girl, getting her number, how nervous she was. Her rejecting you in front of everybody. You know, keep pushing. Like, it was a process. We don't really pay attention to that no more. But man, there's just so much I could talk about with this, and I want to stay on track. So, Polearians.
Yeah, we started with Lemuria and Mu.
Lemuria would be the third root race. I'm gonna get there. So the Polarian race would be basically you getting shot, or you now getting shot out of a pole, a star system. Now,
Into what's the second then?
an egg.
Fair enough.
So that's no different than what they said happened to our sun. They said our sun was abandoned or rejected or pushed out of another solar system and entered our solar system, aka it entered the egg. So,
wait, speaking of horn goddesses, isn't Ishtar
correct,
a goddess of an owl goddess, and the Easter? She's the goddess of Easter, which is eggs.
She's the corn goddess. Yeah, we are the children of her corn.
Huh.
But I'm about to get there. That sperm deity. That's what she's about. The raw bit. She gave you a bit of the raw. As she made you dominate over the egg, which was her sister, or is her sister. So her egg would be considered nut. How ironic is that?
Trying to get a
our
nut.
Sun, yeah. Well, that's what the sun did. So this is the theory or the story. It is said that our sun originates from Polaris, and that something pushed out the sun, and it was then picked up in the body of Nut, the Milky Way galaxy. And our sun is under the galaxy in every depiction. It is not, if you see any of the Egyptian depictions of this being, the sun is under her. It's not above her, because she ingested or consumed this sun. But you also get weird ass Sumerian texts that talk about the consumption of sperm. How a god tricked and put his sperm on a leaf or papyrus and fed it to his brother.
Yeah, I remember reading that story. That was a wild ass story. I know that's a Sumerian one, right?
And this is how he subdued or became Anu.
Yeah.
What is the word? What is the letters of Anu? You get A and then you get Inu. I mean N-U. That's Nut. You become Anu. Anu. The solar deity, the god of memories, because your memories is associated to your sun, but I believe your sun is Mercury. So I believe Mercury. But I start walking around telling people I think the sun is Mercury. They go think I'm fucking crazy. So I don't say those things.
Not crazy, just out of context. I have no idea why you think that. Why sun? Why
Mercury,
sun?
Hermes, the god of Mercury, is always the messenger. Well, what the fuck message do I need? What are you messaging? My motherfucking
light does carry fucking information. Yeah. Literally, there are wires coming into your house giving you a TV signal. Is fucking light carrying information. All right, I see you.
So that is the hermetic principles. That is the hermaphrodite. You know, the ambiguous sun, that goes through a sex change. You can call the moon. But I also found out that there's a connection between Yamaya and Oshun with those two things. And it's often said that their attributes are interchanged because they actually shift between the two. But okay, think of it like this, right? Dark essence would connect to the moon. The dark essence connects to the moon. Why? All right. What is dark essence? Dark essence, in the most simplistic form, is your blood. Now, your blood is extremely powerful. In your blood, you have different pathogens that can create vitality, especially if you can secrete certain pheromones within the body before you drain that blood. Fear, anxiety, aggression, things like that. Things that trigger that adrenaline. That's the whole goal. Trigger the adrenaline within a being and then consume that vitality via blood. Now, there are other ways of consuming that vitality as well. They have injected people in the spines to actually secrete some of this liquid or fluid that comes out of the brain. I'm not sure which part of the brain secretes the adrenaline, but the whole goal is to get that charge. So they are charging this realm off of dark essence. What is dark essence? Your blood. What is dark essence? Your plasma. What is dark essence? Your ether. What is dark essence? It is what is containing light. If you don't have, okay, light is information. It's not your blood. How can you travel the information through your body if you don't have blood? So you need the blood to travel the light through your body. So that's the principle, that it's containing your information. Your blood is containing your information. It's containing your light. It's containing your DNA. It's containing all the life experiences you have. It's containing all the memories that you have. It's containing so much. But we don't have, listen, I love every single person on this channel that does blood talk. And Q, what's blood talk? Blood talk is when people talk about the RH negative and be positive.
Got a huge following. I myself don't talk about it too much.
It's just this is my point, community. I love y'all. Don't shoot the messenger. Until we have our own labs and can publish our own results, I have a problem listening to another person's analytical breakdown of blood if we can't test the blood ourselves. How can we take that for value if we cannot ourselves do that? Yeah. You show me what Black institutions, and then don't hit me with no Howard or none of that shit. Please don't. Please don't. I went to a HBC. Don't play with me. I know the secrets and bullshit behind that. How it's just set. They place drug dealers that work with the fucking government in these schools. When I was at Clark, I've seen these niggas give these niggas guns. I mean, give these niggas drugs. I've seen it. I was smoking. I was all the way up. Wasn't supposed to be there. I was in the cut hiding. And they was on top of the fucking parking roof. And these weird white folks was handing these bags over to the fucking trap niggas. And they did not look like mob, my nigga. I'm from Connecticut. That's where the mob is known at. I know what the mob looks like. Them motherfuckers look like government. That blew my fucking mind, because after that hit, and this was during Katrina too, man, shit got crazy as fuck. I went to Clark. And then Morehouse, they had a huge spike in drug epidemic, and this, man, and then it's just been being pushed ever since. But anyway, I'm going off topic. So dark essence would be beings who are master geneticists. This is why I believe that a term known as the Levites, another variation of it is the Levidians, or the Luthers, or there's different, these beings
Mm.
are associated with the genes, are associated with genetics. This is why they call themselves Levi's, like the genes,
Yeah.
because they're literally associated with genes. While there is another race of beings that mastered white essence. And these are beings who understand the science of the sperm and how to use sperm in cloning, use sperm in hybriding, creating different species via sperm. That is what that's about. So this is the base of where we're getting at. Now, there are two females, huh?
I was saying, so is that kind of like the difference between GMOing a plant and selective breeding a plant by using the pollen to create new plants instead of going in
Yes.
manipulating the act, putting in
Yes.
frog genes and shit into the plant, for example?
Yes, GMO is a construct of Atlantean. This is Atlantean and Lemurian. Let me just put it in context. So the Lemurians was masters of dark essence. They understood how to manipulate genes. While the Atlanteans were not master geneticists, some of them knew the science of gene therapy because they were descendants of Lemurians. But they started going into more of harnessing white essence. Now, a form of harnessing white essence is called homosexuality by the elite, when they are raping the children and things like that that we hear about. This is literally harnessing white essence. Buck breaking, something that they used to do to black people during slavery times, where the master would come out, fuck the black man in front of his family, his daughter, his cousins, his mammy, his pappy, all of them. This was a form of white harnessing or controlling the sperm. Remember, the sperm controls memories. So if you can affect the sperm, anywhere that sperm goes, it's going to hold on that same genetic memory or genetic imprint. So you create such a heightened level of trauma onto that being. So then when he goes and sleeps with his woman, because you know that's the exact, he gets fucked by master, and it's common, but yet now you get this is where beating of women started to come in. This ain't what? There's no documentation of a man ever putting his hands on no feminine presence in any books that we have. This started to come when, okay, first off, claustrophobia gives you this reaction, you know, a space. You feel anxiety and you reflect. This is in the most instinctual form of fighting was being in claustrophobia, reaching or pushing for space. There was a being or race of beings that were forced in confined spaces, caves. Those beings are the ones that kind of articulated some of those ideas. Now, let me just move forward. So, when they know how to capture that essence, because I was about to really get into it. Basically, my point is, he would go sleep with his woman after emotionally being distraught, after emotionally being broken. And now after emotionally being distraught and broken, on top of him potentially enjoying it, he then now is a horny individual and enraged. And now is taking that horniness and rage onto his wife or his female. Sometimes his daughter. This is where, you know, these dark, polluted thoughts. Because the beings who did slavery, some of them, I won't say all of them, but some of them were possessed by other energies. Let's just say a form of possession. And they knew a way of manipulating a race of beings would be through one of these systems. So it's butt breaking. You could go into it, but it's just a genetically tamper or trigger.
And this is a part of that messing with the genes that you're talking about.
This is white magic. Genes is dark magic. This is being able to okay. So white magic or white essence is all about controlling the information. Let's just say that. Right. So if I need to control the information in a sperm, now how do you control information? Information is energy. So how do you control energy? Well, you must capture energy.
Mm-hmm.
You harness energy. They did this via crystals. They
Mm-hmm.
harnessed essence or energy into crystals. And
Mm-hmm.
then they were able to use the crystals in very creative ways. Now, how can
Interesting.
I explain crystal? Okay, salt is a form of a crystal.
Huh?
And the salt inside of a crystal is what allowed ships to cruise the waters. A lot of people ask, okay, fresh water is not as easy to float on as salt water or ocean water. And we all know salt helps you float. So Atlanteans, beings who helped create boats, also connected to Moors, they use crystal technology so they can travel. Remember the original conversation, you can't become a star if you stay still. You got to move.
Yeah.
So this was the science. They started creating technology. So they had to control the oceans. And they did it through salt. But anyway, let me just keep going. So the reason why I say, okay, so basically certain, I got you right here we go. So certain slave masters started getting into the Brotherhood of White. All right, these are fraternal orders, masonry, different things like that.
Mm.
All right, and they taught them the science of symbology and crystals. Now I don't know how many of them really still get into the science of crystals. That one might have went underground. They're more just based on symbology. But originally, it was the science of crystals, and they understood that through crystals you can communicate, but through crystals you can also take a spirit. So say a spirit has been trapped in a crystal, aka a bottle. Well, how do you digest a crystal or the energy within the crystal? Well, one, you can put it on a crown. That's one concept. You keep these crystals near you so that these crystals can communicate to your EM field.
Mm-hmm.
So these crystals can communicate to your subconscious. And eventually what you think are your own thoughts end up being the thoughts of the crystals that you're holding. And then before you know it, you become the acts or actions of those thoughts. Now, the crystals, which is what we all come out of, because the sperm now becomes the crystals. This is what I'm trying to help you understand. That's the technology. So if I am possessed and I want to put my possession into a melanated person, I sleep with him and bust my nuts into this man. Now I can bring in different ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Beat your woman, sleep with your daughter. These are, I'm now suggesting into your EM field, but fuck EM field, I'm in your body now. This is even more powerful. And then you can control a timeline because the Atlanteans were also the first beings to create time as we know it. Lemurians did not rock with time the way that we understand it. Now, if you understand time, then you can predict the whole spectrum of existence. Facts. Definitely. And then you can pinpoint certain points to activate or turn on certain commands, certain fruitions, certain ideas. If I want homosexuality to be something popular in 2000, well, I'm going to plant the seed for 400 years. And then when I need to flip that switch genetically or inside of them, I can. But I want you to understand what this means. This is how the Atlanteans subdued the Lemurians. This is how white essence has dominated over dark essence, because they are controlling now the information, which is now controlling the genes.
Mm-hmm.
You can control what information is being delivered to the body. You can control how the blood genes, the blood is coagulated, is formed, is shaped.
Mm-hmm.
And you know that vibration or sound is associated with your water, with your genes. This is why the traders of the Lemurians were known as the Sumerians, because they were the ones that developed sound when you were never supposed to emit the frequencies or the symbols out, because they know how it connects or influences the body.
Uh-huh.
All right, so we're gonna go back to Polaris first. All right, so
Polaris, you again.
So I just want to make sure we get an understanding. That's the pole. So from Polaris comes the second root race. These are beings now that are considered hyperdimensional. What does hyperdimensional mean? Hyperdimensional means that you can be in both dimensions at once. Make sense?
Yeah.
All right. These were known as Hyperboreans from an area known as Hyperborea, also known as Pan Gaia. Now, remember, this has to do with being two things at once, like androgyny, being two things at once. Pan, Gaia, Pangea, that's the name they called it. Two things. Gaia was a being. We know that. And so was Pan. If you put them together, it's kind of like taking on the principles of Polaris to converge these two things into one construct. Yes, that is what these beings represented. But that's also the journey inside of the egg. When you enter the egg, you are still that sperm cell inside of an egg. And y'all are having a hyper-dimensional experience together. The egg doesn't, the sperm does not dissolve. Does not dissolve. It actually becomes your brain, but it don't go away. Y'all morph or grow together. So you become this hyper-dimensional being. Hyperborean. That was a term or word that was used to describe these energies. Now, these beings were considered descendants. On Hyperborea or Pan Gaia, there was a new race of beings emerging. So in Polaris, you would get like the foundation, you would get the frame, you would get an environment that constantly morphs. Mountains grow bigger, mountains go flat. Rivers are expanding, rivers go thin. Trees are walking around. This is kind of what you're getting in that. All right. And then a race emerged out of that called themselves Hyperboreans or hyperdimensional beings. These are things like fairies. The thing is, a fairy is your leaves. They're associated to the same thing, but you don't see them in their fairy form. You see them as leaves. Now, they are hyperdimensional. Maybe they actually form into a leaf, but based on how open your perception is, you can see them in their greater form. So these are morphs.
How do they see themselves?
How do they see themselves?
As a leaf? Yeah, as a leaf, or as a fairy, or as a both, how does a hyperdimensional being see itself? Is it existing in a world that's like fluid still, or is it existing in our world where it's
you're hyperdimensional? So you just don't use that authority. It's when you could be in two worlds at once or multiple worlds at once. But like, if I was to ask you to imagine we was able to go outside, could you like, and I'm still here with you though. Like,
but I have this world.
And we were actually able to put our bodies, this is before we talked, but we were able to put our bodies on like an autopilot, where we would let the elements guide us or push us. For example, if you were completely willing to submit to the air, the air would guide you. It would pick you up, it will put you down, it will bring you to work, it will control your fingers. It will literally possess you to the point where you don't have to control yourself. if you have that solid of a relationship with the air. And how this works is when you start to consider yourself a dominant presence over the air. I'm an ego, you know, a force now and not a will. When you start changing that polarity, this is when the mother separates herself from you. She says, you no longer can have access to my nature. So Animorphs, if you ever seen that show, that's kind of what came out of these beings. They were these beings who, so basically there was a time that you based on the observer, this also matters, based on the observer, because no one said that during Hyperborea the Lemurians didn't walk around. Who's to say that these races didn't intermingle? So the Lemurian would look at the leaf and see a fairy. The Atlantean would see a leaf. So it's the observer for this hyperdimensional being. If you yourself are hyperdimensional, then of course you can perceive the hyperdimensional aspects of the beings. But if you yourself is stuck in a timeline, which is what the Atlanteans did to themselves, of course they can't see the different dimensions or levels. So from the Hyperboreans, all right, so here's another word, you get Fantasia. So that was the word of fantasy. Anything was possible. And in Fantasia lived a race of beings known as Anastasias. Now they're known as Anastasias because Ana means animation. And it also holds on to the word Asia, Fantasia and Anastasia, because Asia is the land of Mu, or a part of it. So we got to keep this in mind. This is all part of the context. Why we use these words. Fantasia is connected to Mu. Anastasia, the animation of Fantasia. And this is Anastasia. So, and this is where the word Antarctica comes from. But it's where these frequencies, because Antarctica is the closest thing we have to Pan Gaia or Fantasia. It's frozen though. It's frozen. But as it unthaws, you're going to be able to see a lot of different structures and things like that that came from the first three root races. So the animation of nature are the fairies, gnomes, elks, what you call the
leprechauns,
all that. All right, but they weren't that griffin-like being. Remember that. They were also associated. So they were like the first beings, if you want to think of them as sentient life. A unicorn. That would be considered a Polearian being. Oh, those mythological creatures. Yeah. And then you get the second descendants of them, which is the leprechauns and gargoyles and all those different things that's associated with them. But you know what those are? Those are considered the men of Lumar. Now, what is that? On Fantasia or on Polaris, when the Hyperboreans rose into existence, certain beings separated themselves and wanted to master or hone their nature. And this wasn't forbidden, but them honing, think of the conversation, walk like a duck, talk like a duck, talk like a duck, it's a duck. So if you constantly stay in that cadence, walking like a lion, moving like a lion, you eventually go to be a lion. Walking like a bird, moving like a bird, eventually you go to be an Aryan. That's what they call an avian. I'm sorry, you're going to be an avian. This is what they call the alien thing. So I'm saying this is how you start to get these. You walk like a dog, talk like a dog, you get an Anunnaki or a wolf. You know, so you get these different variations, and this is when you then start the 12 tribes of Judah, or the 12 tribes, now all taking on the beginning of a clock. Now these are remember, anything that separated themselves is the start of the Atlanteans. All right, so things was cool, and then they evolved into like these Lemurians, but then that memory eventually created an offshoot of the Lemurians known as the Atlanteans. But I'm gonna just get into the context of that in a second. damn, and I did this without having to read any of my shit yet. And I don't have a lot of time. I have a session I gotta do soon. But
yeah.
But
hit the notes.
So the men of Lumar, all right. So Lu, all right. Lu represents light. So these were considered the men of light, because when you stay in a solid position long enough, you shine brighter. You start to harness essence. That's kind of these beings were doing when they started to animate more. Like so I've also explained it like this: like the elements needed to put themselves inside of a body. So fire put itself inside of a dragon, and then that dragon morphed itself from that Polaris realm into something you can call a wolf, or a werewolf, or a wolf man. And this is where the men of Lumar are known as the Wolfmen. And this is the start of a race of beings.
This is Lu?
Yeah. The
as in Luna, as in the moon?
Yeah, these are known as the Lulus. So these are known as the Lulus. And they created a offshoot of them that's a cat race, known as the Zuzus. And it is the cat-dog combination that is the Zulu tribe, where they wear cheetahs and wolf things and all that other shit. It's because that is the combination of them two species a long fucking time ago. I don't know if they know that or not.
Someone should let them know.
They would be like, how I get where's my proof, you know? But anyway, you gotta look at the words. Now remember, Mer is also associated to Mercury, the messenger, Mer. Remember we were saying about that. But it also has to do with mercy. It also has to do with Mary, but Mer also has to do with mermaid. Now, the reason why it's mermaid, because they're showing you Mer is more associated to scales. Mermaids have scales. So they're showing you scales. And it's because the great Mer, or Merlin, was associated to a dragon that has scales. But they're actually different type of dragons that dwelled in Polaris. One had fur, one had feathers. I know that story too, dog. You know what shit I can talk to you about? Like, because it was originally 5.
I have to go make some popcorn.
5 dragons, and then the 5 dragons then created what we would call the 12 men of Lumar. And each one took on a different attribute or animal. One became a crow. One became you have to be able to look up. It's like 12 animal totems that the natives believe were associated or connected to all people. And then you'll be able to put together each one zodiac.
Specifically 12?
Yeah, 12. It's always 3, 6, 9. It's never out that.
Yeah.
Never not out of that sequence. But it has to be 12 on the. Okay, we're considered 3-dimensional beings because we still follow the philosophies of Lumar. If you are, let me just, because that's gonna take me to a whole nother place. So the men of Lumar that dwelled in Fantasia, Antarctica, Polaris, Pan Gaia, whatever word you want to call it, they became masters of cellular manipulation. So this was the beginning of them becoming masters of genetic manipulation. They became masters of their blood. They had the ability to control the information that is traveling through their blood via cells. So they were able to reconfigure their cells via will, via internal sound or chi, because it was chi that was used during this time. Now, prana, chi, that's associated with air, breath, things like that. I haven't really decided. I actually think prana or chi is associated with white essence as well. but I don't have any proof to go towards that yet. So I'm not. So I just want to make sure we can kind of understand the context. So these beings became master geneticists. These beings became master gene manipulators over themselves. They understood how to manipulate the genes, but they could not like create a hybrid. They cannot create another version of themselves. Like it didn't work like that. There was no procreation in the spectrum or realm of how you're thinking now. For me to explain how a person can manifest themselves into a body is a little difficult, but I want you to understand environment and will play a huge part. You can will yourself into anything, but if the environment isn't conducive to your will, then you could potentially will yourself there and get trapped, or you won't be allowed there at all. But
would the environment be the same thing as blood then? So, or at least the same relationship as light and blood?
Correct. All right. Now, if the blood is tainted, the environment is going to be tainted. And the whole goal was to start to influence, once again, the blood. And how do you influence the blood? You place something into a blood. You call that a virus. Or another form of it could be called sperm. And you place the sperm inside of the blood. This was a construct that was created and designed by feminine energy that lost her power over dark essence. And because she could not govern dark essence anymore, she then decided to, or let's just say it, because it's androgynous, it decided to create another construct that could resemble a life force. Now, I want you to understand prana or chi is considered life force. And how can you mimic or how can you reflect prana or chi? I think the reflection of prana or chi is sperm. That is how it gets built up. I think that's how it gets shot out. Now, the thing about that is, I think through breath, you were able to manifest yourself through different worlds and environments. And I think a long time ago, we were able to animate ourselves in many different star systems, many different worlds. But we got caught up here. We got captured. We got harnessed inside of a crystal. Now that crystal you can call sperm, but something caught us, something captured us. And we're on a repetitive loop and cycle via sperm.
I feel like I'm listening to the adult version of the Dark Crystal right now.
Now, I can say that there's a female that is behind the sperm, and y'all gonna say there's no fucking proof or evidence towards that, right?
There's plenty of proof. I can give the human body starts off feminine. Starts off with the vagina. Okay,
but you know this weird ass community we in. They want documentation. They want some proof. Where was that written, Q? Where is it written that the female controlled the sperm? Well, let's think about this story. It goes that Osiris and Set got into a dispute. Osiris' phallus was cut off. And it was Isis, Ishtar, who came to the rescue. We got this. I got it. And my son is going to hold it down. Because remember, Horus is the resurrection of Osiris and things like that. So my point is, it's showing you right there a feminine's manipulation over the phallus. Why would a female want to manipulate the phallus? Well, if you kind of get rejected out of the garden, which we hear that story, and then you kind of don't have a place, you're going to kind of do what you need to do to manifest yourself back into this timeline so you aren't forgotten. Because, like I said, we used to be able to travel. And if the environment isn't conducive to you, A, you get trapped, or B, you're not invited at all. Now, eventually, if the body shuts down the opening of a spirit, then that spirit becomes dismembered or forgotten. And the scariest thing that the gods and goddesses fear is for them to be forgotten. And the only way they can be forgotten is by not being allowed in. So there's a war now. Is that why they don't want y'all to, they want y'all fucking robots. So that this deity that is controlling y'all sperm cannot animate herself anymore. Shit is crazy. It's like the way my brain is be thinking about how crazy this shit is. There's so many levels, so many degrees of this. Oh my God. All right, so that was a little beginning overview of Polaris, Hyperborea, and now here comes the Lemurians. So I'm basically going to read a small excerpt from the book that I'm writing, and then I'm going to leave a little bit of time if you have any questions, and shut it down there. All right?
Hit it.
All right. So the title of the book is going to be called The Lemurian People of the Land of Mu, Ancestors to the Sumerian People, the cousins of the Egyptian Atlantean race. No memory, no language. These people did not develop a sense of memory nor a use for it. This in turn did not allow this race to develop a known language among their people. Instead, this race of beings used intellectual hisses, grunts, clicks, and moans, like those of the primate family, mammals, and those of the dinosaur. Now, if you were to look up like a dinosaur right now, they're going to give you probably about 5 different races of birds. And then probably about another 1,000 races of reptiles. Because they claim that our modern day dinosaurs, take that, are bird and reptilian beings. This was known as thought communication, and what it appeared now is nothing more than hisses, clicks, grunts, and moans of an unevolved species. Animals, plants, and the air itself had the ability to feel this form of communication. Those of this race could communicate with the all. Language ultimately separates everyone and then starts creating classes or ranking systems. We call that today the food chain. The strength of this species was the strength of its environment. What we said about environments.
Yeah.
As the world around them grew, they themselves grew as well. For example, a lion's roar is connected to his strength, and his strength is connected to the sun itself. As the sun grows, so does the strength within a lion and the lion's roar. They didn't speak to the life, but to the life force in all things. They were able to communicate and connect to the micro and macro life force, or essence, within all things, including lifeless objects. When building or creating with these objects, they did not need a system of measurement nor a technology to grasp or calculate the weight. When building or creating with these objects, they did not need a system of measurement nor a technology to grasp, calculate the weight, and or limits of the lifeless objects they were working with. For example, when using stone, they already knew the density, they already knew the weight, and any other key components without any outside technologies. When working with plants, they knew the spiritual properties in addition to the healing properties lying within the products of Gaia, the mother. If ailments were developed within that being, they were able to pinpoint where it was and what was needed to cure or aid their disease. Ultimately, the Lemurian built without external blueprints, encouraging and supporting a highly constructive, imaginative society, one of creativity and inventiveness. This society developed a heightened trust within themselves, others in the space they dwell within. It in turn created a culture of people solely based on instincts. This assuredness and confidence created unimaginable possibilities for the Lemurian people. These possibilities range from, but were not limited to, cellular manipulation, telepathy, increased strength and speed, shape-shifting, psychokinesis or telekinesis, teleportation, invisibility, empathy, pyrokinesis to control fire, weather manipulation, and many, many more. The driving force behind this system was not a society based on force, but a society that encouraged the will. Through the superpower known as will, these people did things that would seem impossible, but in those days were the standard norm. Through will, they harnessed the dual life force in purity, love, support, and alliance. That's the beginning. How you feeling?
Good. When's the release?
I'm still writing it. I don't even know yet. All right. Enters the Atlantean. As for the Atlanteans, some harnessed or captured these essences through brute force. This led to creating and perfecting the term and practices known as vamping or vampirizing life force. Many elite Atlanteans over time dealt with the controlling and manipulating of a dark essence via dark crystal. And this led to the perfection of many genetic sciences, including a form of cloning. No known documents have survived since the campaign of burning libraries started shortly around 200 BC, with the Zhang Yang Yu and Qin Shi Huang pioneering that idea into the collective. It is still being debated till this day when the burning of the Library of Alexander occurred. The Vatican is the closest you can get to this information, but it's locked away for the common person. Now, why is this important? Due to the fact that we cannot prove via documentation what dark essence is, but many theories and sciences point to ether as the dark essence used in the days of old. And of course, ether is inside of your blood. We don't quite understand how they extracted ether nor its full possibilities, but science has admitted and confirmed that ether has different degrees or levels. For example, 9 ether, 8 ether, 7 ether. It has also been proven that melanin, more specifically matured melanin, known as melanocytes, have a strong connection to the different levels of ether. All right, I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna give you a little bit more. No life, no essence. White essence or life essence in those days, today as well, is known as sperm. This is why in ancient Egypt, in Rome, the phallus and the obelisk was of such great importance. Sperm contains a key component that we call adrenaline. Then it was known as the spice of life. The healthier the sperm, the stronger the adrenaline or spice. The younger and healthier the boy was, the stronger or purer the spice or essence became. In modern days, it has been theorized that the elite produced a synthetic version of this spice called adrenochrome. Just keep in mind, I'm telling you that they have an obsession with extracting sperm from little boys. If you wonder where our babies are disappearing to. If you are concerned with, not only are they taking the sperm from the children, they have then developed a way of releasing it in their organs. that compound, because I want you to understand it's a compound that they're trying to extract. The sperm just contains the compound. Do you understand? So it's just the easiest way of getting it. This is why in old days, women would put sperm on their face and they would ingest it because they know the vitality that was in the purer man, the shit we ingesting now. Ooh. Anyway, so they now figured out a way of creating trauma or shock into the body. And they then extract the organs from those kids that go through those rituals. So when you see a lot of organs being removed and children coming up missing with parts and organs missing, that has a lot to do with that concept. What they do is they extract that essence and then they sell the organs on the black market. They make money from all around. And then the morgue gets money from the government, because if no one claims the body, who the fuck do you think pays for their cremation and for the body to be disposed of? We do. High taxpayers, we pay for that. So they just make money all around. Shit is crazy. But this is an Atlantean construct, which eventually became a Babylonian construct, which then became an American, construct. Now back to the Lemurians. The Lemurians were facilitators of will and trust in all aspects of their life. This merely means their schools, governments, and entertainment was based on the same design. The Lemurian children would play a game we still play today. This game is called Duck, Duck, Goose. This game has always been designed for developing the skills of gene manipulation, to literally learn how to shift form or shape shift. This is where the word shape shifting comes from. Now remember what I told you, the fraternal orders of today are obsessed with shapes, symbols. This is why they have shapes and symbols all around them. And they understand that they can shift your reality by shifting the shapes. So through shift or shape shifting, they can shape or shift you. Remember what I said. In order for you to manipulate a body, you have to go inside of it. They put salt inside the ocean, which therefore shifted its shape. Shit's crazy. All right. The child selected would literally turn into a goose, while the child running would be a literal duck. It was such a time of enjoyment and higher awareness of self. Many other games were designed as well to help the child unlock their special gifts. Hide and seek was connected to invisibility and teleportation. Simon Says was all about telekinesis. And what we call plays or reenactments were to help the child with their empathy. So many things have been lost to time. The Lemurian culture was not a world without danger or death, but instead of running from danger, they advocated running towards it. And I'm gonna stop there.
Yeah, I was just about to say how much time you got so we can get to questions, because I got one for you.
That's it.
If I can slip one in before anyone else.
Question time.
Your thing on dark crystals. But part one of the question, was the crystal dark first? Was it a special sort of crystal, or was it darkened because it was used in a negative way? And how can we flip that? Use it in the good. How can we capture energy in crystals to use for the benefit? Because I'm assuming they didn't always intend to use it out of evil, right? It didn't start evil, or did it become corrupt over time?
The car is not evil. That who operates the car and kills a whole bunch of people become evil. That who is operating the crystal. All right. So the operator, remember God, generator, operator, destroyer.
So the crystal's fine then. That they were using crystals. There's in and
I won't say it's fine, because we didn't agree to be captured. We were tricked into being captured inside of a. So once again, remember, we're dealing with the sun and the moon.
Mm-hmm.
The moon represents dark essence. The sun represents light essence. The sun is a representation of the light spectrum. Purple, blue, orange, red, all that is associated to the spectrum of the sun. So those are pieces of the sun. Those are Ra's bits, your chakras.
Mm-hmm.
That crystal technology is your chakras. You got a dark crystal up here, it's purple. You got another one, it's blue or indigo. You got another one that's blue, another one that's green, another one that's orange, another one that's red. These are the crystals that are in your body. You've harnessed ancestors. You've harnessed Fantasia. Let's say that. You put Fantasia and separated them into these forms, into these crystals. And now you as the operator are operating these beings. So it's depending on how you operate your memories, how you operate your thoughts, how you operate your communication, how you operate your emotions, how you operate your movement or actions, how you operate your instinct, how you operate your physicality.
So our chakras are the crystals, and we're
Correct.
already doing the harnessing.
Correct.
Is there a physical correspondence to that? Like if I pick up a fucking diamond, for example?
Yeah, those are all as above, so below. What is in must go out.
So that's what I'm saying. What's going on?
We know that. We eat and then we shit. So we know that. So it had to go in and then it came out.
Yes.
The crystal is the shit. The crystal is the byproduct.
Oh, the crystal is a byproduct.
Yes. The byproduct of dark essence.
Uh-huh.
Because the crystal is a container.
I see. Yeah.
And that container is a mirror. And that mirror is the white crystal.
Mm-hmm. I see.
Your sky, your ocean, the moon is a mirror.
I see it. No,
we are living in a mirror. We are living in the reflection.
Uh-huh.
And we are the magicians working the mirror. Your body is scrying. Scrying is an art where you look into a mirror and speak to essences or energies for guidance or answers. Your body is the mirror.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone, you get this community that admits they're not really here, or this is an illusion, or all this shit that we talk about. Well, then you are a mirror.
All right, question answered. Who's next? Monday Moon wants to know if you can paint with all the colors of the wind. I'm curious if you know how high the sycamore grows, because if you cut it down, then you'll never know.
What's the question? Yes.
Oh, I was just being a dick. They asked you a question off of Pocahontas, and then I started singing the song.
Oh, I didn't even see Pocahontas.
So funny. And no questions? No one's got questions? I'm not seeing any actual questions. Exactly work the moon pushes to make a black mirror. Shit. Can you talk about Black Mirror? Someone brought up Black Mirror.
Yeah, that's a dark crystal. How do you produce a dark crystal or a black mirror? You stain it with blood. So instead of the blood being in, the blood becomes on.
Oh shit.
And then I've actually created stories or videos talking about the battle of on and in. And this is where you then see why certain words are Orion, play ADN.
On-key and N-key. Let's see. All right, where you guys? Oh shit. Damn, I said I see, and I thought I said hey Siri and popped on. Savage.
All the time.
Fucking
man, someone asked me a question and I felt so bad because I couldn't really give her this answer, because this is such a strong reality that I don't think a lot of people have really thought about. So she said, I don't want to come back here.
A lot of people say that.
And I say, and she asked me, how can I not come back here? And I said, you would have to gain back all your essence from every single thing that you've put it into. Everything. Because even if a piece of your essence is here, and something can capture that essence, then they can grow your essence and potentially animate you back here. Now, say if you're in someone's heart and you transition, but like your emotions, your experiences, you in someone's heart, you in someone's thoughts, you've left a piece of you here. So you might be dwelling or animating or perceiving one space or place, but then you could potentially be called back here in your plasmatic form, in your etherical form. And you're being called back here via ghost. Now, that's just one aspect of it inside of the person. You also have invested yourself into things, put your name on things.
Mm-hmm.
How it has captured your essence with this. You got deeds, driver's licenses, properties, cars, shit, the list goes on. Your child has your name. Your child has your name. So in order for you not to come back here, you can't have any, it's like.
So it's virtually impossible then. What does it look like to get rid of everything? Absolutely everything.
That would require no memories.
Yeah.
That would require you being a being with no memories. And I personally strive. Okay, so I've dropped videos where I've said, give me my memories back. And I say that because once I gain all my memories, I want to let all of these motherfuckers go. That's the point why I want all my memories back. So I don't have a memory popping up later on that I forgot about or left alone in the experience of my soul. No, I want every single memory and experience back so I can let them all go. Because I don't want any more memories. Memories is associated to things that aren't now. How can I be a nowist? How can I experience Fantasia, my fantasies, my desires, and my will now, if I'm constantly being drawn back in various memories? So in my personal opinion, I don't desire to obtain, I don't desire to keep all these memories. I want all my memories removed so I can be more of an instinctual, experienced type being. But that's the first version of us. Like there was no memories in the first 3 states of us. We didn't get into the whole memory thing until the Atlanteans built a timeline. And then we started to follow in suit of the avians or the Aryans, the bird-like beings, the ego beings. The beings that are constantly trying to soar high above everything else.
Yeah, I had a thought about that, man. Lately I've been trying to think of why we forget things. And then I started imagining what it would be like to remember absolutely everything. And people can't even go through 40 years of life without their memories killing them. Imagine
an immortal God.
10,000. Imagine
an immortal God. Imagine a goddess with you. And that's what happened. She doesn't want to remember. So the moon extracts our memories. So when you go to sleep, there's downloads. It's because, but then again, she'll say she's doing it because she loves you. So that's only one aspect of it. I need people to also understand that they have been releasing a version of their digital self for 19 years. Since 2001, we have been uploading our digital selves, everything that represents us. And now the algorithm has 19 years of us. What you think, the internet forgets? What you think, it can't go back to 2001? Like, think about Google, for real. Like, I ain't gonna take it out of my house. We're past that point, but I'm just explaining to think about how deep this is. You can ask Google a question. She has the answer instantly. First off, how is she able to get the answer so quickly? Second off, how is she able to not only get the answer so quickly, but be able to have different type of options to choose from to answer the question?
Thousands of different types of answers.
And has it instantly. Y'all talking about AI, that shit is here. prevalent in your phone, here's here, and it has 19 years of you. Now, some of you that are 20 years old, 20, 25 years old, that's your whole life. Your whole life has been documented. Now, those of you that might be in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, yeah, you could potentially go through the internet and try to comb through and remove every single aspect of you from it. But then you have clouds, you have their personal databases. You don't think they thought about that? You don't think they thought about how the human race might try to defend themselves from being re-uploaded? So now they just take your information and put them on their own personal cloud, so you can't remove them. You might be able to remove them off of your sign-in that you have to their cloud, but they're not removing it out of their cloud. Fuck no. You might remove your access to your own information.
Or other people's. What do you say about Akashic records then? That's this universal memory bank that's plugged into fucking ether. It's the cosmos itself.
I think Akasha is Fantasia. I think Fantasia is supposed to be singing. I want to look at it like gravity, where if we just trust it, Fantasia will get us, put us, love us, cuddle us, guide us. I want that. I don't want the masculine deity that's ruling over me right now. This shit is painful, aggressive, and sucks a dick. I don't want it. Like, I'm ready to be embraced by the mom. Like, that is, like, it's the memories of the father because the sperm is holding the memories. So we're just dealing with this shit over and over again with this being. I'm fucking over it. What does it look like? It looks like the opposite of this.
Well, we ushering it in, dog.
Huh?
We ushering it in.
Facts.
We ushering it in. Sorry if I ate up so many guys' questions. I don't know how much time we got left.
About 10 more minutes.
All right, someone highlight my name. How is the moon the mirror if it controls the ocean and the ocean reflects lights? Wouldn't the mirror be the oceans, the mirror of the sun?
Repeat it one more time.
Yeah, how is the moon the mirror if it controls the ocean and the ocean reflects lights? Wouldn't the mirror be the oceans, the mirror of the sun? But see, since the ocean reflects the sun, wouldn't the oceans be the mirror and not the moon? I mean, I could probably answer that. Everything reflects light to a degree. Water reflects it. Steel, white paint reflects light, probably more light than water does. So there's tons of things that
we're talking about as above, so below. So of course the oceans would be the mirror below. I was talking about the mirror above. Now the mirror below would be the oceans, and then we would be the reflection of the sun itself. Literally Ra's bits.
Ra's bit. Explain Ra's bits again.
We are a rabbit jumping up and down trying to get to Easter or Easter.
That's right.
And Ish means to be like a star. We're jumping around until we become what we call the Nova Man, the Star Man. And that's when you can control your thoughts. Because if you can control your thoughts, you control your memories. If you control your memories, you can choose to remove them. Nova Man.
Someone saying break the
Six
mirror.
God. That's what Six God represents.
Someone's saying break the mirror. How do you feel about that? What do you have to say about breaking the mirror altogether?
There have been theories of removing the moon. It could be a potential way of damaging the moon-Saturn matrix. So if Mercury is your memories and the moon is reflecting Mercury, and then the dark side of the moon, of course, is still encompassing a different frequency, in essence, dark essence. That's why I say the moon is dark essence, but it really reflects light essence on one side. Okay. So to make a mirror, you need a liquid and then like a solid. And that solid is usually like a piece of metal. And then that liquid, they use different titanium or tin. Tin is used on mirrors. They liquefy it and then it hardens. Anyway, so that's the same concept. Like a literal mirror is like the moon. It's like the metal is on one side, Fe, iron is on one side, something that's Mars, the right side, the other side, the moon, Mars, Saturn. So basically war and judgment, I guess that's the easiest way I could explain it, is what is being projected on us from one side of the moon. While on the other side of the moon, abandonment and disappointment. So the moon is kind of projecting some of those emotions upon us. Now, I won't say that the moon wants to project those polarities. Those are based on the experiences being emitted from those planets. I mean, do yourself, look up the attributes, the positive and negative aspects of the planets. And you can see what the moon is reflecting. Yeah. And based on what we focus on, what we choose to look at, it's a mirror. It's going to define your experience.
Whatever you put in the mirror is going to show you.
Correct. So breaking it could potentially shatter your identity. And that's certain people have broken their mirror. They're in crazy homes. They have no clue of who or what they are, because memory is also a gauging system. So you have to understand that when I say I don't want my memories, I'm talking about I don't want memories in my resurrection. And the whole goal is to accomplish or gain all my memories back in this life so that I can process, accept.
I'd be down for that if my life was longer than the average of 120, or not average, but the average of 80 years. But man, you know what I'm saying?
Dude, our race is not dying anywhere between 200 and 500 years. If you can make it through the next 10 years, you're going to be able to live long enough to actually accomplish that. But there's going to be many obstacles put in.
I'm feeling good, man. In the next 10.
Yeah. So as long as there's a lot of propaganda. You know, they put death in the air so strong now that they got people literally feeling like they dying. They don't even know what the fuck it's about.
They got people no clue.
So, and this is just a start. You know, they releasing UFOs on CNN. I mean, so all kind of stuff happening right now. So, like I said, if you could survive what we call the Great Expansion, and the expansion is not outside. It is an internal expansion. And if you can survive the Great Expansion, which is going to be 10 years of testing and proving to your mind, body, and spirit, or to your mental, emotional, and spiritual bodies that you are worthy to enter your Nova, or your sixth god, or your Saturnian self.
What does that look like for the average person?
After 2030, it's going to be technologically advanced. Saturn is also based on technology. It's known as the black box or black cube. So it's going to be, so basically we're going to have several different ways. It's no different than how it is now. So if you do enough homework, there's enough herbs and supplements on Amazon that could get you fucking right. You'd be great.
That was my question. What does that process look like to the average person to stay on point?
You can't be lazy. But some people are lazy. So some people go get chips. Some people go to allow themselves to be more dialed into technology to help them understand themselves compared to nature helping them understand themselves. And honestly, it's going to take a balance of both. You're going to have to be able to be adept into both. Because both aren't going nowhere.
Yeah. I hear that. Nice.
Yeah.
I like that.
One more question. We got one more.
Let's see. Someone asks, is there a difference between the mirrors that are made today and the ones made for kings and queens?
Yes. The elements that they use to make those mirrors. They also would infuse the mirrors with what you would call or could call essential oils, but different oils or different minerals or elements, because they would heat it all up as a liquid, and then they would pour it over. And they would usually put it over like a gold plate, a silver or steel, something along those lines, a metal or a type of metal that was accommodated or accustomed to that king. Each king during those times had like a base metal that they associated with and a spirit animal that they associated with. So you will kind of see what that is associated with. You think, oh, silver armor is the same. No, some of them had like, it was made out of silver. Some of them was made out of tin. Some of them was made out of titanium. So yeah, right. So they were different metals, and those metals, the stronger the metal, the stronger the titan that you're connected to, because they also considered the metals connected to titans. So think of it like the being able to reflect the titan. So it was the metal that used as its base, and they would use like a black mirror. In order for them to get a black mirror, they would infuse like darker essences, sometimes literal blood. They would put literal blood in the liquid or composition of the mirror, and then allow the mirror to harden or gluten.
Fake. You're welcome, Jaden. Thank you too for the good questions. Yeah, so it's 11:32 my time. How you doing over there? Is this Q does what do you call them?
They're called a subconscious regression.
Subconscious regressions. So he's probably have to take off in a second to go handle one of those. So be sure to check out his channel for those. That's like past life stuff. That's what is that? Give me like a quick 20-second elevator pitch, or whatever they call it.
We unfortunately have dealt with the 10% of ourselves, and that is 10% of our known reality, 10% of our perception, 10% of our experiences, etc., etc. I offer a way for you to guide yourself with me showing you key components in this guiding of self until you are able to start visualizing within yourself certain scenes, certain animations, certain stories that are associated and connected to you. It's through visualization. It looks very similar to like daydreaming or meditating, but now instead of being distracted by just some computer screen that you don't know or a voice you don't really know, I'm kind of guiding you and engaging you off of everything you're saying. So it's very helpful. It's very engaging to learn more about yourself subconsciously. So it's a way of learning and understanding what your subconscious has been trying to talk to you about. People have been seeing numbers constantly. This is your subconscious communicating with you.
Like a
people who have got
style, or like guided meditation. Is that how you're leading it?
It is. So like, for an example, I'll be like, envision a broom. You're like, okay, I see a broom. And I'm like, all right, well, sweep the floor with the broom. You're like, all right, we're sweeping the broom. I'm like, all right, well, you know what? Dance with the broom. As you build, you get more and more into it. And
like that.
Eventually you be like, someone knocked down the door. And I'll be like, oh, all right, go open the door. It's my grandfather that passed 5 years ago. Like, and then my point is, like, I didn't suggest that. I didn't say there's a knock on your door. Nah, I'm telling you, sweep the floor. And that's it. Like, I literally say 1 to 2 steps. See a room, sweep the floor. And then an hour later, all kind of shit comes up.
Nice. I still gotta hit one of those sessions, man. That actually sounds pretty dope. I didn't know that was the angle of it. I like that though.
And it's all done online. It doesn't have to be done in person, because
they're asking.
Yeah, your eyes are closed. So because your eyes are closed, it's really no difference if I was in person with you or on the phone. You just want to make sure you can hear me. You want to make sure that you're comfortable and I can hear you. That's it. You just have to be excited. Many people ask, like, what stimulations or what do I have to do? Excitement. You have to understand it's your body, it's your rules. If you can be excited about the rules you're putting into your body's going to listen. It's going to say, all right, we doing this. And I don't want to hear one person say that they don't have the power of visualization. Now, I did find out, according to science, there's a term for it that it starts with A, where people cannot see within their mind. And I say, if you believe what the fuck they tell you, then that's on you. But work with it. There are literal exercises you can do to work with your imagination. Some of you might have had imaginary friends. Call the motherfuckers forward in your adult life. Maybe you had like a teddy bear or like a toy. You need to go buy that teddy bear or toy again, because every time you see it or touch it, it's going to trigger that imagination, trigger that childhood, trigger that essence. I mean, I have tons of techniques and tons of ways of helping people unlock and better themselves. I honestly wish with the 15-minute calls that I've been receiving, some people have some good questions, some people ask some good things. Most of them don't know what to talk about. And I wish they would really try to use that time wisely, because I really can offer tons of advice. But when we just breathing on the phone to each other, I be feeling like this is pointless. I don't even know why I do it. So I'm hoping they're going to start getting a little bit better with the 15 minutes. Not all. Some of y'all have very good stuff to say. But I offer like a free 15-minute consultation. And like, I know people have problems with visualization. I know people don't really understand what meditation is. I know people don't really understand the science behind the tarot cards. We should talk about these things. I'm a tarot card reader. I should know every dimension of this, you know, but this is my point. You know, I try to be as helpful as possible. I try to be a little more engaged than the rest of these people online. So I have a website. It's Cue Reaves, CueReaves.com. If any of y'all want to check me out, I have another service I call name readings. Basically, it's a way to know the title that's associated to your name. It's on mute.
I put it on mute on purpose. My brother came and talked. I didn't want to scream in your guys' ears.
Oh no worries. Yeah, so name readings gives you kind of a title to your name. It's a role, so you kind of know what you were birthed here to do. These name readings are real deep. And then dream interpretations. I also offer one-on-one consultations too. Sometimes people really need that one-on-one engagement. Like, Q, can you tell me what chakras are? Can you tell me what my zodiac sign means? And I mean, tons of things kind of come up. But like I said, I try to offer flexibility. So you can book any of the services right on the website, family. I'm about to actually get ready to do a few of them now.
Cool. Well, we got your information in the chat room. If you want, you can come leave a comment on this, and I'll pin your comment so that people can see any extracurricular shit that you want to put up there. I'll get that in there too. But yeah, thanks everyone for stepping in. Thanks, man, again for coming on the channel.
Yeah, I have so much more shit I got to really talk about. There's really never enough time, so we probably could try to set this up again. Because I didn't even really get into some of the other topics I want to touch on. I got like a download, if you want to call it, the difference between thoughts and actions, and how we're actually not even living in our own thoughts nor our own actions. And your actions is nothing more than the acts of your thoughts. And not only are they the acts, ACTS, of your thoughts, they are the acts or the severing of your thoughts. So we go get into that. That's something I want to be able to talk about. And I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot. You know, I didn't even get into Luciferianism and Satanism. Now those are derivatives.
We can set it up right now if you want for another day this week, next week, whatever. we're on lockdown, so we got nothing but time.
Let's set up something for next week for sure, and then let's just kind of
hit me up.
I'm trying to come up with a tentative date now.
Okay.
So
I'll sit tight.
All right, we go to do I'm free Tuesday, May 5th. Let's do like 10:30 Central Time, 10:30
9:30, 8:30.
Wait, that might be too early. Let's do 11. Let's do 11:30 to like 1 my time. So that would be like 9:30 your time.
That's cool. 9:30 is
fine. Cool. So May 5th, we're gonna be back up here, fam. Appreciate it.
Yeah. All right, man. Have fun with those sessions.
All right, cool. Thank y'all.
Yeah, of course. Peace out.